I'm Elizabeth Olson, and this is...
I'm Mary May.
And we belong to the South Shore Stitchers Quilt Guild.
We're from southern New Jersey, the Cape May County area.
We received the packet of quilt blocks
From the folks in Peru.
There was some kind of disaster that befell these people, and I could tell that some people were disappeared, and I think some of the blocks talked about
Terrorists, yeah. So you can tell that there's a lot of emotion in these blocks, by the people that made them.
So you can see fabric would have been somewhat straight. Because these are knitted, they're kind of curled up. So our first task is to stabilize them. And that was my task this past week. Mary was able to acquire this material, and maybe you can see the glossiness on the one side. It's a kind of glue, so that when it's heated, it will adhere to the block. But just to ensure that, we're going to sprinkle it a little bit. Now, Mary, do you think that we should sprinkle the knitted part first?
I usually sprinkle the cotton.
Okay, let me be sure I've got it laid out so that we were leaving a little bit of excess in case we needed to add fabric or something else to when we actually made this into a quilt. I think most of it's going to be trimmed off, though, actually, in the long run.
Right.
And this just enhances the gluability, if you will. And I think that will
helps the glue to stick a little bit better, yeah. And then she's taking the iron, it's set on a cotton setting and pressing.
And I start in the center too, so that if any of it is going to move, it will move outward rather than buckle up in the center.
So this is going to keep the pieces from stretching out of shape when we're ready to actually put them into the final quilt format.
And this is pieced here because I had the extra piece of fabric, 2 extra pieces that I could join and be frugal rather than cutting a whole new piece. So now that isn't completely finished, but I have finished quite a few of these blocks. I can put it over here, Mary. Now I've been saving the names. They masking taped their names on the back of the blocks, and I want to be sure I don't lose that one.
Here's one of the ones that she has already blocked and stabilized. So we left a margin around it of the fusible interfacing, so that eventually when we go to attach these onto a quilted background, that they won't be stretching and dragging and things like that. So you won't, eventually you won't see any of this white material that's sticking out right now.
So our next task is to lay these out once again and arrange them by color and shape. This doesn't exactly line up with the quilt
Right.
below it, so maybe it won't be next to it. We don't know yet. But we'll use larger tables and get to work on putting this onto a background fabric. Then they'll be attached to the... No, the background fabric is going to be layered, isn't it? That's going to be quilted first.
I think we're going to quilt the foundation, the back part of it, and then attach these onto the front so that they'll have even more stability.
And that is going to be the next task for us. I think Ian should know this too, that we're going to probably hand attach, at intervals anyway, these pieces onto the backing. And then we need to find some way to attach in the, somewhere in the center so that these don't fall out of shape, because since they're knitted, even though they've got stabilizer, they could droop and drag. But that's our next task, and we'll get together with Ginny Cooper, and she's working on a group of blocks. Mary's working on a group of blocks. My blocks are ready, and then we'll get together and assemble our quilts. Once they're stabilized, like this, I needed to pull this back in order to make the seam where this sashing, which is this black strip, was sewed to the stabilizer. And when I did that, the difficulty for me was getting them straight again. They got distorted as they were pulled back. For instance, this one is up in the center, but they were also somewhat distorted. This one is heavily embroidered, and it drew the knit in, so it made it narrower. Those were some of the obstacles.
Was there ever a time when you thought, no, this is too much, I can't manage this?
Sometimes my inner voice says things like that, and my other inner voice says, yes, you can. So,
oops, another little wobble. Won't be seen.
There's a lot of skill in making these quilts, isn't there?
there is a good deal of skill, yeah.
Okay, so this is the computerized part of the quilting machine, and the main place that you want to start is the file that has the designs in it. So I hit File and I'm going to go Open, and these are the designs that are built into it, and I can scroll through here, and if I want to I could go to another set of files where I have downloaded different designs. It's definitely been a challenge as far as working with the knitted fabrics and talking Elizabeth off the ledge multiple times, and Ginny a couple of times too, saying, "No, Elizabeth, don't do it. We can do this. We can do this." So it has been a challenge technically.
But you seem to have, it's been a very collegial exercise, isn't it? You've all worked together.
Right. Right.
You're obviously very close friends.
Great minds.
And we're still friends.
Are working together so far. Speak for yourself.
Was it worth it?
Now I can say yes. I think they're coming out beautiful, and I think we're going to be proud to see them hung. And some of the frustrations and things are in the background now.
And what about the message on them? Because it's pretty striking, isn't it? And simple. And
I had mine translated so I knew what I was working with. And I went to another advocacy quilt show in Washington, D.C. a few years ago, and it was a hard show to witness. And these were a little easier to look at because they're pretty colors, and some of them have decorations, but they didn't depict the horrible scenes that some of the applique quilts did that I saw. But that does not take away from what happened to these women. And hopefully we have honored them in these quilts, and they can be shown and appreciated.
Part of the problem in Peru is that the reparations are capped at 5,000 soles per family. And so if you have a family of 2, you get 5,000 soles. If you have a family of 12, you get 5,000 soles, right? And so a lot of these families are facing the loss of the primary breadwinner in their family. The artist who made this had a 2-year-old daughter, and she'd grown kind of fond and attached to the llama, and she didn't want to give it up because she liked to pet the llama. So she wanted to hang on to it.
When I would get discouraged and frustrated with my own difficulty, I would think about the work that these people had done, especially each one at a time, not a group of these people, but I'd be working on a block and I'd think, this is really for that person. It's not, whatever I do is almost incidental. Their story needs to be told, and I'm a part of telling that story, and that kept me going.